How can you connect with people and how can you empathize with them when their emotions make absolutely no sense to you? Hi everybody, I'm Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And one of the trickiest snags that we hit when we're trying to learn how to listen with empathy and love people well is, what do you do when someone's emotions make absolutely no sense to you? How do you empathize with that emotion? When you look at reality and think to yourself, nothing going on justifies being this angry or this afraid or this sad. Like, there's something wrong here. How can I empathize with it? So why does that happen? And what can you do to help you love that person well? Well, let me tell you something that happened to me that helped me move through this dilemma. I have a friend who is a huge Cleveland Browns fan, loves that team. Lots of memories growing up with his dad watching the Browns, so it's been kind of a lifelong, significant thing for him. He wears their gear all year long. It doesn't matter what season it is. And, never misses a game, goes to games live, just loves the Cleveland Browns. But I started to notice after several years of being friends with this guy, when it came around time to the Super Bowl, he just changed. He lost all interest in football, didn't come to the Super Bowl parties with, our group of friends, became kind of standoffish and sullen and hard to talk to. And I always thought, that just makes no sense, right? Just because your team isn't in the Super Bowl, you can still come and just have fun, right? It just seemed like his distancing made absolutely no sense. And then one year we were talking, and it wasn't even football season, we were talking about his dad, because I knew his dad had died. I just didn't know, when he had died. Was it when he was, 8, when he was 12, 16? And so I just, asked him, hey, when did your dad die anyway? And he said, Super Bowl Sunday, heart attack, unexpected. And not only that, that's tragic, but then on top of that, he lived in this family where you weren't allowed to show emotions and you weren't allowed to express pain. And so he had this horrible thing that happened Super Bowl Sunday, and he was never allowed to grieve it. There are two important truths highlighted in the story. And the first is, sometimes our emotions say something very real about the external world that we're in right now, but sometimes our emotions say something true about our internal world. Sometimes they say something true about baggage that we have, that unfinished business, ungrieved losses. So it could say something true about one or the other. And just because an emotion doesn't make sense to you as you look at someone's external world and everything going on right now, just because it doesn't make sense as you look at their external world, doesn't mean the emotion doesn't make sense. Our emotions always say something important about a love relationship that we have. And for this Brown fan, his emotion was saying something about the ungrieved loss of his father. The second truth this story highlights for us is, if you don't understand where someone's emotions are coming from, it's because you don't understand where someone's emotions are coming from. It's just that simple, right? They're not coming from nowhere. Our emotions are always a response to something we care about. We only feel things about things that we care about. So if you don't understand where they're coming from, it's simply because you don't understand where they're coming from. Now, with this being true, there are two primary postures we can take when we're speaking with someone and their emotions make no sense to us. The first is we can have a posture of critique. I'm going to critique your emotions. My main job is to figure out whether your emotions are valid or whether you're being unreasonable, and I'm not going to connect with you until after I have critiqued you. And this posture will always create disconnection from the person that you're trying to listen to. The second posture that you can take is I simply want to try to connect with you. I'm not going to evaluate you. I simply want to try to connect with you and understand with you in what you're experiencing right now. So I would encourage you to practice this simple step as you are listening to people, and that is when an emotion makes no sense to you, choose in that moment not to critique it, but instead ask yourself this simple question. I wonder where this emotion is coming from, right? Even if it doesn't make sense in that circumstance you find yourself in, ask yourself, I wonder where this emotion is coming from, because it is coming from somewhere. And choose to be curious instead of critical. Such a big deal in building great relationships. And I would encourage you to practice this at first through visualization. Think about a time where someone's emotions in the past didn't make sense to you and you critiqued, and you could realize, oh, this person is shutting down, or they feel devalued, or something's not going on right here. And go through that experience again, but this time be aware of yourself saying, I wonder where this emotion is coming from, and just be curious. All day long, we are helping one another either bury our hearts or excavate our hearts. And it's really in these moments where emotions seem to make no sense, where they seem to be an overreaction, where there is probably something going on in the internal world and something that needs to be excavated and understood. Now, the person may not want to excavate it and understand it with you. They may choose to do that with someone else. That's their choice. But what you can do is make room for it to happen if they want it to happen, right? By simply saying, I wonder where this emotion is coming from, and taking their emotion seriously. So practice. I wonder where this emotion is coming from. Simple steps. Practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.